Welcome to Slayerfest 98. This is Brett White, and sitting next to me to my right is your founder and master and commander.
Hi, Ian Carlos Crawford, and joining us today we have three lovely guests. He is writer, comedian, and co-host of Two Old Queens.
That's right. Yeah. Mark Rennie? Am I supposed to say my name?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I'm Mark Rennie.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
And next up we have everyone's 12th favorite cosplayer and one of my podcast husbands.
Hammy. That's me. That's my
Hammy.
name. Not my Christian name, but close enough.
And he is one of my favorite Twitter husbands who's also Canadian.
Hi, it's Colin.
Hi, Colin. So, Brett, what are we here to talk about today?
We're going to talk about Andor Season 1.
I wish.
We're going to be talking about The Mandalorian Season 3, which wrapped. But did it even happen at all? I don't know.
Brett, you go first. What do you think overall of the season?
Just real disappointing. And let me tell you, my bar for Star Wars is pretty low or high. I like Star Wars. Okay, it is not hard to get me on board. I will say, I realized today I have left the theater 11 times happy. And it isn't until later that I realized, wait, I didn't like episodes 1 through 3. So I mean, like, I can get a real good Star Wars high going, and this just left me scratching my head and then offended most of the time.
Colin, what'd you think overall?
Did I have fun with the season watching it? Yes. Was it a great season? I really liked the end, the last couple episodes.
Fair.
But yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of missed opportunities and wasted episodes.
Yeah. Hammy?
Yeah, I think that it wasn't great. My history with Star Wars is I pretty much like all of it. I'm not hard to please. I think I'm not deep into the fandom. It's just something I watch to watch a fun little story.
Yeah.
And Mandalorian was the first thing Star Wars that I saw, and I was like, art. And it's been steadily going downhill ever since.
You cursed it. Mark, what'd you think?
It didn't reach the highs of Andor, but nor was it the lows of Obi-Wan. So it was like almost worse though, in that it's totally forgettable. I don't know if I'll remember. I couldn't tell you maybe about 3 episodes that were in season 3. I remember maybe 3 things that happened. I think I'm just not that invested in Bo-Katan and her electronic headband.
See, and I even like Bo-Katan, but I didn't care. Like I was like, oh cool, she's in it more. I'm gonna like this, but I just could not care.
Can you describe her character and personality?
All the Mandalorians are just so like surly. Like, where's the goofy Mandalorian? Where's like the bumbling drunk? They're all just so like one note dull people.
Well, that is my overall problem with the season is they turned Mandalorians into just more fucking Jedi, and it's like, God damn it, I'm trying. I have a huge spiel about religion and Star Wars that I will wait to deploy when we're further in, because we're only 4 minutes in and I'm getting hot.
It's not Christian enough. Is that the problem? You want more Christianity,
more Jesus,
more Jesus, more space Jesus.
Yeah, Mark, I kind of on the same thing with you. Like, I didn't hate it. It just, I would watch an episode and it would like completely leave my brain when I finished.
There was a whole episode where they just fought a bird.
Yeah.
Did we remember that happened? It was just them saving Jimmy Kimmel's son from a bird.
And really, like, fuck that kid. Just let him go.
Yeah, God. And then they then like get those 3 little bird legs that are like, well, I guess they're Mandalorians now. Did y'all leave them on that planet?
Yeah, what happened to those
birds? Where are they? Were they going to get helmets and jetpacks? Like, why do you introduce 3 bird Mandalorians? And then, like everything else in this season, by the next episode, who knows what happened? They're gone.
Yeah. Yes, like I also feel like the Mandalores, is that the correct pluralization of
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian? Okay. The Mandalorians, I what you said, Mark, is so true. Like when the one guy dies, I was like, oh, all right. Like
Yeah. I guess his trait was that he liked his son, which is fascinating. Let me learn more about that character.
Next episode, his son don't give a shit.
Yeah.
There's no reaction to his death whatsoever.
And they made a big stink about like these two tribes are meeting. However, will they meet? And then they play chess, and then they start to fight. But then Grogu breaks it up. I'm like, what's the difference between these tribes? One likes wearing helmets, and the other doesn't. Is that it?
One's religious and one's not.
And then when Katie Sackhoff is like, well, I'm wearing helmets now. And then Armor is like, no, actually, you can now take your helmet off. And she's like, what? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, okay. There's no fucking problem.
It's almost like it didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
I didn't like that beat where she was suddenly into wearing helmets, because when we met her in the previous season, she was like, no, that's fucked up that you guys do that.
Okay, so I'll get into it.
Okay,
my entire thing with The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, and why I related to it so fiercely, and why I loved it and was kind of gobsmacked that Star Wars was going down this route, was Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 are a man putting his love for his adorable small little green son over his religion. It is him learning that the religion that he so adheres to actually is impeding his own personal growth, and again, the love for his son. And it is so fucking transparent, because twice he has to take off his helmet in order to do something to save his son. And like, I think that any gay son whose fathers are still adhering to Christianity instead of loving them would relate to this. And so, like, it was so cool that Star Wars was showing that, like, sometimes you have to reconcile your religion, maybe cast away some of the stuff that, you know, is kind of useless, and adapt, because your child is more important than that. And then what happens in season 3 is Din Djarin's like, cool, well, I immediately need to go baptize myself and just get more committed. And then I need to drag my tiny son into it as well. And Bo-Katan, you're cool. You're into it as well. Everyone loves this religion. And it's like, that's not the point of the fucking show. Why are you doing this? It just, drives me absolutely crazy, because also what you sacrifice is literally anyone having a different opinion of anyone. Like, we get stuck with a whole bunch of Mandalorians wearing helmets. Stunt people in helmets are the performers of this show.
So how do you really feel?
He didn't take his helmet off once this season, did he?
No, which I think is because he was filming The Last of Us.
I was just about to, because Brett, I feel like you always know the background. It felt like he wasn't there, right?
He's never been there, though, right? I feel like he wasn't there in season 2. I feel like he's only there when he needs to take the helmet. I wouldn't be if I was Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. I mean, he's talked before, like, they've been like, no, he's there.
No way.
They've never acted. He's never faked like he's been there 100% of the time, but he has joked around or inferred that he's there at least 60% of the time, which I would say is in reality 20% of the time. Well, you can tell, like, this year, they put Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder, who are the actual people in the costume. They actually put their names in the credits for the first time. So I think that is probably...
Yeah, where are their daddy thirst tweets? Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem fair.
You know, Brett, everything you said is exactly, I think, what pissed me off, because I kept thinking, did we miss a step? Like, he was forsaking his religion. That's what he did. But now here we are, right?
Yeah. The most egregious thing to me is Bo-Katan, who in season 2 was like, when I love that scene when Din is like not taking off his helmet, and you can just see her kind of like roll her eyes and like, oh god, he's one of these.
That's an Orthodox.
Yeah, he's like, oh god, he's wearing a short sleeve button down shirt and a necktie. Like, and that was cool, and like there would have been some interesting. What was the conflict of this season? That is the other main thing, is like there was no conflict. And at every moment when Jon Favreau could have introduced oh, Bo-Katan is a staunch atheist, and she saw a fucking mythosaur, and everyone else is telling her, that's a sign from our god or whatever. She should be like, no, there's literally an extinct dinosaur. But no, she just sorry. I could just keep going. It just drives me crazy how everyone was just on the same page the entire time.
When she kept doing that, when she was dancing around that stuff, I was like, oh, she's doing this because she wants to get something out of this. But then no, she didn't, right? She joined the group, I guess, right?
Yeah, because she could have used that to just be like, well, I saw this monster that you guys worship, so you come join me now. And what they should have done is have several episodes of them just finding all the Mandalorians that were supposedly spread across the galaxy instead of going to find the one group that she already knew.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. And I did see a few tweets that were oh, people surprised about the Mandalorian religion and have never watched other Star Wars. The Jedi have always been there. I saw a couple tweets like that, and it's right, but it still sucks.
Well, and also, I mean, hey, the Jedi were not good.
I was going to say, we had several movies that indicated that their religion was dated and was the entire reason that they fell.
Yeah, right? There's a whole trilogy that George Lucas himself wrote about that. And also, those characters aren't interesting. That's
right.
Any character that is so dogmatic and just they're inflexible. They don't have their sticks in the muds. Those are not the fun characters.
Yeah.
You need to have characters to bounce off of them. Amy Sedaris should have been the co-lead of this fucking season.
Yeah.
The only fun religious fanatics are Margaret White and Carrie. I don't want her to change. Yeah. She's perfect just the way she is. But I don't think this Mandalorian faith is particularly interesting. I don't really care. No, what are the tenets of their beliefs besides wearing armor or not?
One
you know what I mean?
Speaks unless one knows.
Well, let me write that down.
Oh, God.
Put that on a pillow.
Do you guys... Wait, I have a question for the class. Do we think they take their armor off when they have sex, or do they fuck with it fully on?
Oh no, they're
just
full
clanking.
On furries.
Hammy, what do you think?
I'm just picturing all the different ways now. I'm thinking armor off, helmets on, armor on with a hole in it, sheet with a hole in it. I do love that.
Yeah,
I do love picturing all of these different things.
Also, what happens if they're in a fight and does their armor or their helmet ever just get blown off? Does the Mandalorian just freak out and be like, "Don't look at me"? You know what I mean? What do they do? What happens in that situation?
And also, what is the actual point of not?
Yes.
What does not taking off your helmet symbolize?
I was just about to say that, Brett. I kept feeling there was a step missing because it felt one, the Mandalorians were way more accepting this season. The armor lady pisses me off all the time because she's the head of the religion. So she says dumb bullshit. But even in the finale, when she was no, he can't be baptized. He's not your son. And then he's I will adopt him. And she's well, wonderful. Now we can baptize him and you can train him like your son. And it's she switched so quickly.
Yeah.
But prior to this season, it felt her personality was more that first part where it's nope, we have these strict rules. And I just don't fucking care. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I thought that I thought that when they became the clan of two with the Mudhorn as their signet, what a fucking sentence that I just said. That's wild. When that happened, I thought that's when he became his son. So I don't know why that was treated as a plot point in the finale. It's just we did that.
Yeah, how does their relationship change now? You know what I mean? They're still sticking together. I didn't get what the point was. Okay, so he's now, but you're still the duo you were at the beginning.
So that is emblematic of another main problem of this entire thing is they fight for something to change, it changes, and they immediately forget. So Grief Karga offers Din a spot on Navarro. He's no, I need to go to Mandalore. And then he takes all the Mandalorians to Navarro. They save them from the pirates. And Grief's yeah, cool. I have all this space. You guys want it? And they're cool. And then they all live there for a day. And they're but we need to go back to Mandalore. So then they all go to fight Mandalore. They take their planet back. And then Din is like, cool, I'm moving back to Navarro.
Yeah. Like it was like, I know he's gonna end up there. Just fucking do it. Like, why?
That's the point. Because I thought it would be cool if they were like, okay, Mandalore, we cannot go back to. We've been given this plot of land on Navarro. It will be interesting to not only see our two Mandalorian sects learn how to live together, but now we have to learn how to live together in a society that isn't completely Mandalorian. That's interesting. There's conflict baked in there, but no.
And
we
does
have to
anyone
go
else just think of Dave Navarro? They hear the Chris Angel of the Chili Peppers.
Honestly, why has he not? Was it Flea? Flea was in
Flea
Obi-Wan.
was in Obi-Wan.
So put Dave Navarro in this.
Yeah.
Wasn't Flea also in like a horror movie randomly recently?
He was popping up and he's been popping up in things.
Yeah, I feel like he's been popping up and shit. Yeah. So like Colin, try to tell us what the plot of this season was.
To retake Mandalore. A very long, circuitous route to retake Mandalore.
And who was keeping it from them? Because the first time that we go there, it's empty.
Yeah.
So I actually did look this up. It's at the end of the Clone Wars, the entire planet is completely carpet bombed, and they believe it's unlivable. And but no one's actively keeping them from there. They just think they can't go back.
And then when he goes back and he's like, oh, wait, oxygen's cool. And then Bo-Katan goes and sees oxygen's cool. Then why do they need to like get a fleet to go retake this planet that they think is empty and inhabitable?
I guess they wanted to kill the mythosaur that was living there, but also then we find out that there's a group of Mandalorians still living there since the fall of Mandalore who didn't think to like message anyone and be like, hey guys, come home.
We're good. Oh, well, no, there's like a cloud or something. I don't know.
But they can fly up above it.
Yeah. What drives me crazy is actually Gideon has an Imperial outpost on Mandalore, which is actually a reason why they can't go back to Mandalore. And if they had introduced that in episode 1, maybe some of the conflict of the rest of the season would have felt like conflict.
And it was just hard to care about the planet. Like this planet you may have seen in like the Clone Wars 15 years ago. You know, I don't remember anything about Mandalore and why it's even worth saving. So it's all theoretical when you're watching season 3.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt like I didn't like fully understand the like disconnect of like, well, we can't live there. Oh, look, people do live there. Oh, look, there are all these droids. Also, did they ever explain who those droids were that were living there the first time we went there this season?
No.
Of course they didn't.
No.
The random evil droids that appear when
I
people...
kept going back to that. I was like, what about those droids? Like, I thought they were going to be like a villainous droid sect that took over the planet, but I guess not.
And so that also, so there were 2 episodes this season that were kind of the fun in quotation marks. I don't even know at this point.
I felt your quotes.
I don't know. Like diversion episodes. We got the episode 3, I think, was all on Coruscant. World was like 80% just on Coruscant with Dr. Pershing and us learning about the Imperial Amnesty Program. Yeah. And then like episode 6 was the like kind of law and order droid murderer or murder droids with on the Jack Black Lizzo planet.
Oh, that was terrible.
What a sentence that. So yeah, what did we think about those 2 diversions from the Mandalorian mania?
Mark?
I didn't hate the Coruscant where we're just following the Dr. Pershing, like, because I do like seeing like the everyday ground level. I like seeing Star Wars in that world. Like, just what is it like for regular people? Like, that's one reason why I really like Andor, because it showed you like, oh, what is life like under Imperial rule? You know, I mean, I like kind of that. So I appreciated that episode, but ultimately it leads to nothing. And then also this show, all the spaceship stuff effects are amazing. Whenever there has to be an actual human being in the frame, I think this show looks like trash. Am I crazy?
No, you're not.
No.
You can spot the volume a mile away. I'm so good at spotting like, oh, we're in the volume. I could tell no one's ever against the wall. The action is always in the middle of a round room, 12 feet away from the wall.
It's gotten worse. Right?
The
like,
lighting too. You could tell the lighting is always like too soft. Like this doesn't look like like a real place. Get out of here.
Maybe they're renting it out on the weekends, and whoever else is getting it is like not putting the lights in the right.
Those Deadpool 3 people fucked it up.
Wait, where did you say they always were that you could tell?
They're in the volume.
The volume is that new, like the technology. There was a big thing in season 1. Like ILM it's like a living green screen, like essentially, where like all the it's like, it's a new piece of technology, green screen.
They're performing in front of 360 projector screens. Like all those backgrounds are really there, and the camera captures them with like the same fidelity as if they were like CG'd in. And so also all of the light. Like if you put like a picture of a sun above them, it lights them with sunlight. Like that's how real it looks. And so like it was cool in season 1 because it was like, oh my God, they're going to all these locations, but really they weren't. But it has just when Andor ruined
it really
a lot
did.
of this because Andor used practical sets and like went places. And before I couldn't really tell a difference between volume and the real world. But now, like, Andor just looked so spacious and real.
That was my major problem with this season was it started to, like, I could feel the Disney of it all, where season 1 especially, like, felt so amazing, felt so fresh, felt so unique. I just feel like, I was like, oh, the CG's bad, classic Disney Plus TV show. And I was just like, oh, there's just a bunch of nuggets that don't really mean anything, and maybe some writer will pick them up later if they decide to. None of this matters except for telling future stories and making spin-off series. And that's what kind of drove me crazy. In that episode specifically, I was kind of bored by it. And I was like, it's fine. This will pay off. It's slow, but there's a reason we're doing this. No payoff. I hated the episode more by the end of the season. I was like, I can't believe I wasted my time watching that episode.
I realized, like, you introduced the Imperial Amnesty Program. Isn't it a more interesting storyline if Gideon gets back to Coruscant and they put him in that program? And then all of a sudden, Din Djarin's like, what the fuck? Like, no, you put him, like...
He's working at a boba shop or something?
Yeah. Like, there's interesting stuff to say. But at every single turn, Jon Favreau just took the path of least resistance and then just, like Jack Black's character was also a part of the amnesty program. How do we feel about him? Is he reformed? Was he evil? Like, does he just like what? I don't. He got put in the program and got Lizzo as a wife. I don't know.
I did.
The exasperation.
I'm like trying. I'm like, don't word it like you're one of those fans, because like. Of course, there are the fans that like just hated that because it's like, how dare they put Lizzo in the star? And it's like, fuck off.
Right.
Like, I don't care. But I did think that whole episode was so cringy.
She can't act.
Yeah, it was.
And I hate to say it.
Like, I like that Lizzo, the person, got to hang out with Baby Yoda. Like, I love that for her.
Yeah.
But as a storytelling, I don't really know.
She might have just been miscast. I think maybe she's more in a role that's more Lizzo-like. Like, if she was playing like a pop star in the Star Wars world or something, I think that her performance would probably have been like better.
I wanted there to be like a droid in that droid bar that was playing the flute, and it was voiced by Lizzo. That's all I wanted. Just like a Lizzo droid. That would be incredible.
And then people are mad she's playing the ancient Jedi flute that no one should touch. You know?
They've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the payoff that you're all talking about is exactly what bothered me, because like the Dr. Pershing episode, I did think was good, but it didn't matter, right? Like, it feels... And Brett, we kind of talked about this in the Quantum Mania episode, where like now it feels like the annoying critiques people have had about Marvel and Star Wars that weren't true, 10 years ago now are becoming true, because like you said, Hammy, you felt the Disney of it all, where it's like, no, put that in because we may do that later. Mm-hmm. And it feels like with Boba Fett, that like they just need to do a like Tales of the Star Wars universe show that like every one of them, maybe we get 2 episodes with the same character, but like we're going from planet to planet to whatever to like do that, right? Because then it makes sense. But like all of these shows having episodes for other shows doesn't work. And I think...
Oh God.
Right.
I had two of my friends who both like they're not like deep in Star Wars like I am, but like Star Wars. Like they're on board, and they started both of them started season 3, and we're like, wait, what did I miss? I watched all seasons 1 and 2. Well, how did Grogu get back with him? I was like, you got to go watch the Book of Boba Fett. Isn't it crazy how Disney Plus did not tell you to do that, or they didn't even do a previously on with the scenes that are on their streaming service? Why did they put that? And now the other thing is, like, this season talked about Grand Admiral Thrawn, and like he was mentioned at least twice, definitely once, very blatantly. He's over in Ahsoka, guys. That storyline's not gonna amount to anything in this. For some reason, we're setting up Ahsoka. Like,
I was wondering why. I was like, oh, he's gonna pop up at the end. He's gonna be the big bad behind it all at the end. And then he didn't fucking pop up, and I was like, oh, why the fuck are we talking about him so much? And here you go. That's why.
And then the whole thing with, like, I guess they wanted to clone Grogu so they could have like the Avengers in one person of Star Wars people, like, because we needed the Jedi component. But then, which is like, I guess, an interesting idea. But then you never even see that realized. Like, what does a clone with like Jedi powers look like? I'm curious.
Yeah, why wasn't there one Gideon clone that was actually like at least half baked and could have fought, and we could have seen what this force grafted onto him? No, just kill all the clones so that they don't have to worry about that, so that Giancarlo Esposito can do his day on set.
Do the Imperials not know about midichlorians?
Shh.
I think Disney doesn't talk about that, right? Like,
Okay. Because, like, his whole thing was like, we were going to study this child and, you know, find a way to get force powers. But, like, don't we know how that works?
I mean, they might not. That might be like weird lost knowledge from, I don't know, Qui-Gon era.
From 30 years ago.
Yeah, from 40 years ago.
Fair enough.
Brett, have they mentioned midichlorians at all?
I don't think
they have.
I don't think they. Yeah.
Prequels.
Because Mark, now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking of your Obi-Wan comment, because I didn't love Obi-Wan, but you're right. This is almost worse because this is like
boring.
I remember being annoyed at Obi-Wan. I remember at least what's her face
disliking Obi-Wan a lot more than this just felt more like Obi-Wan felt rude. This feels more like inessential. Like this, I will forget. I've already forgotten about Mandalorian season 3, and we talked about it 5 seconds ago, and I've forgotten. Another thing, these Mandalorians, their helmets, they look 3D printed. I don't like it.
A positive thing I will say though is I liked all the color combinations.
Very interesting.
Like they had like an orange helmet. And I was like, oh, that's a cool.
A lot more pastels than you would think.
Yeah, I'm into that.
I think something that would have, I don't know. And this goes to like, Brett, I don't know if you'll agree with me. Like even like buying an action figure, if it's like Iron Man, I gotta have the regular face there too. And if I display it, I put the regular head on. I think that a reason I felt so disconnected from all of these people is because I didn't fucking see their faces. Like, when that guy died, until which one of you said that, I forgot that he was the dad. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's the big guy with the gun. Like, we see him with a gun a lot. I don't know. Like,
he's been on the show since episode 1. And
Jesus.
He's in the first episode, and I don't know if we ever heard his name until recently.
Until he died.
This is what's so bad about this season is like, I loved that character until this season. I was just like, yeah, Big Daddy Gun. Like, he's just the big guy who has the gun. And if they would have killed him off in another season, I would have been like, no, my favorite Mandalorian is dead. And this season, I was like, whatever, man. Who fucking cares? There's so many of them now.
Because I think there's something to be said when you don't spend a lot of time with someone, you're able to imprint or like, oh, they're actually very compelling. Right. But then when they start showing you more, you're spending more time. You're like, oh, they're actually like really boring and they don't have a personality at all.
There was something to the first 2 seasons that I think was really cool that made Mandalorian feel interesting, was that every episode really did feel like it was the product of a writer and a director playing in the universe. Like I remember like Rick Famuyiwa's heist episode in season 1, or like Filoni's gunslinger episode in season 1. Like there was an actual, everything felt different and like cool. Whereas there's something about Jon Favreau, he's kind of just like levels everything out. Like he's just kind of he's there. And he just kind of turned this season, similar to Book of Boba Fett, into like, it's there. Like Rick Famuyiwa directed 3 episodes this season. I couldn't tell. Like there was just some sort of haze of sameness to this. That
And I
was,
feel like the stories are so thin too. Like there's not a lot happens in every episode. It's just basically like fetch quests, which has been a big complaint. And like, but I feel like the scripts are like 5 or 6 pages long.
And costs so much money.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah, you know what? As I watched the final 2 episodes while working today, Mark,
Very good. I approve.
I was like, oh wait, like I kept thinking, oh, this is the last one. No, this is second to last one. It was just there was a lot of shooting, and I love my like sci-fi superhero actiony stuff. Like for My Bloody Judy, we just covered Alien Covenant. I am an easy sell on stupid sci-fi action.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's just like, oh, that's fun. Like it's like it reminds me of like when I'm a kid. But like this felt like you just said, there was 4 pages of script, and then we got like 10 pages of like shooting, and after a while, it got a little, I don't know, fucking whatever.
Well, there's no like tension. There's no like rising stakes. There's no like in these action scenes
You
are
don't
just
know
like
who these people are.
perfunctory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember in the season 2 premiere when Din Djarin had to team up with Timothy Oliphant and the Sand People to fight that crate dragon that just kept puking acid on them? I remember like the first time that dragon just started throwing up everywhere. I was like, this is madness, and I love it. And there's nothing that unhinged in this season.
It's just missing some personality.
The best moment of the entire fucking season was them shoving Grogu into IG-12 and him just punching the yes button over and over again. That is the only good moment of the season, I think. And it's because it was the only like stupid moment. It was the only silly, stupid moment where you could feel Din under his helmet being like, oh my God, stop. Which is a dynamic that you can build a show around.
I do think that's my biggest problem. Like this season, I felt like Grogu was just like an after. He's basically like a living emoji. He doesn't do anything. He's just there to be like cute and like wink and like be sad at times. But what has he learned throughout the season? How has he grown? Besides, nothing.
And he got indoctrinated into a religion.
Am I supposed to feel good about that too? Like, oh, this baby is now part of this religion and having to fight? Like, am I supposed to be like, yeah,
how is he
going
to wear a helmet? He's got ears. When are they going to let him have ears on his helmet?
Make him a little Wolverine helmet. I also, okay, they also need to like, and I will say fully, I still teared up at like them towards the end, like when Grogu saves him and just hitting the no button. I was like, oh, I do love them. Thank you for reminding me of the thing I like about this show. But like, we need to stop being like, oh, he doesn't know how to use his powers, and then he uses his powers like 10 minutes later. Because I just like this whole finale, I kept being like, you're so cute, but like, why the fuck aren't you using your powers? We've seen you use them. Season 1 ends with you saving everyone in that fire. Like, why aren't we doing that? Right?
Yeah, but we didn't get to see the training montage from Book of Boba Fett in this season, so we don't know that he can use his powers.
I did love the Praetorian Guard. Like, I love those stupid red Imperial Guards from Last Jedi because they're just so extra. They all have their huge helmets and their weird weapons, and they're just so into themselves. And I like them debuting here. I don't know. Trying to find anything I like.
There's also something I realized watching this last one is like anytime Star Wars goes to a planet that is meant to be vaguely like cyberpunk or like Blade Runner, Star Wars can't be cool like that. It doesn't quite work. Like they never quite, because you can't go, a cyberpunk world has to be rated R. You know what I mean? It has to be edgy.
Yeah.
And there's just lately nothing really that edgy about Star Wars in a cyberpunk world. It just doesn't, I don't buy it.
I mean, Andor pulled it off because Andor did that first shot of Cassian walking through that city, and there are all those like bubbles where the inference is those are peep shows.
I didn't even get that.
Because there are like sexy women inside these little like windows, and they're like people watching them, but he walks past them. Man, they were able to sneak a lot of cool shit into that.
I will say, I think the cyberpunk point you're making, Mark, when I watched I don't even remember which episode that is, where like he's standing outside of that bar and it's like, I think it's a Lizzo episode, isn't it? And I was like, does this look bad or does this just look weird because a Star Wars character normally isn't in a setting like this? Like my brain couldn't decide. Maybe it's both.
Yeah. It's probably both.
Probably both. Because like there's like one shot of him, and I mean, you're right, they were always standing in the middle. He was never, and it's like everything looks like background, and it is background, but it's like shiny, flat background. And I couldn't tell. I was like, is it the design of this weird? But yeah, I just like, they do like desert or like sweeping rooms in a ship. Well, but then it's like a city.
Disney loves a hallway. They love a nondescript gray hallway, which is what 50% of Ant-Man was. And a lot of what this last episode of Mandalorian was mostly hallways.
I do think that we did get, I liked the Din Djarin versus all of the Beskar troopers, I guess we can call them. I like with all the doors, with all the red laser walls and him like taking down two, but also that is from Phantom Menace with Obi-Wan watching Darth Maul kill Qui-Gon. But still, it was a cool fight scene just because he was like picking up new weapons after he beat them up because he didn't have any, and then him yelling at R5-D4 to take like that. Yeah, the little mouse droids.
Star of the show R5.
Yeah. But then afterwards, he was like, "You did good, kid. Can we talk about how horrible the dialogue was on this show for a season?"
Not even the dialogue. Well, yes, the dialogue. It really felt like everything was phoned in, because I will say, even some of the fights, especially at the end, I was like, everyone's moving really slow.
Right.
The final fight after he goes in and the Praetorian Guard has taken out Grogu's Zord. They went from being so badass fighting the big Mandalorian in the last episode to here they were just kind of like, even when Grogu was using the Force, they just kind of tripped over themselves.
Yes.
Grogu running around that little ceiling thing to yakety sax, like that's what I want.
It basically was that, right? Like, yeah, and like when the Mandalorian walks into that scene, him and the guard that attacked him both move so slow. It's like they're slowly hitting him, and he just like grabs it looks like he's like embracing him almost. It's weird, right? Because Jon Favreau did do the previous 2 seasons, right?
So my theory is that, yeah, he wrote most of them, but he had a lot more help co-writing, and there were more. He didn't really direct much. Dave Filoni is what I think is the secret ingredient, because he was heavily involved in seasons 1 and 2, and now he left to go do Ahsoka and left Favreau kind of on his own to do Boba Fett and Mandalorian 3. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of good stuff in Ahsoka that we're like, oh, that's where that went.
I hope, because also, and I feel like we're all being so negative, but it's just this season is not good. Fucking Moff Gideon showing up felt a lot like Emperor Palpatine showing up in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. I was worried this whole thing was leading to Palpatine, the cloning from Rise. I was so worried. Like, is that where we're not going back there? Are we? Nobody
are
like
we all
that.
Excited to learn more about Project Necromancer?
Yeah,
over the next several series and movies.
Yes.
God.
Oh shit! Right, because it does have to go back. He does have to reappear, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all leading to that, and apparently Gideon was like, "Oh, I'm just going to steal this tech and try to clone myself."
I don't want that, though. I hate that. Like, that's the thing that I mean, Rise of Skywalker is bad on every front, but like that was the thing that pissed me off so much. Where it's like, well, here's the final installment, and oops, we forgot to mention Emperor Palpatine is here, but he's always been here, so no big deal. And like, I couldn't even remember how they ended with Moff Gideon at the end of season. It is season 1, right? Or is it season 2? Where like he like gets the saber.
Well, season 2, it ends with him getting captured.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I remembered the like saber coming out, but I couldn't remember much else.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it just,
then at the end, the saber doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
This whole thing
it just
gets
crushes
destroyed. I'm like, oh, all right.
God, wait, it was destroyed?
Yeah.
Yeah, they broke it. during the fight with Bo-Katan at the end.
And he crushed her hand around the hilt, right?
Yeah.
And like crushed it.
Oh.
So,
I don't even think I fucking realized that. Jesus Christ.
Well, and the other thing, like another loose end that I thought could have gone somewhere was the end of episode 5 or whatever, when Captain Carson Teva, the Kim's Convenience X-Wing officer,
right.
when he's the one that finds the ship that was carrying Gideon to the tribunal, and it's been broken into, and they find traces of Beskar. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because what if he now is blaming the Mandalorians for it? Then we get New Republic versus Mandalorians, even though it turns out it was actually Beskar Stormtrooper. But no, he just doesn't do anything with that information, even though he knows only one group of people have Beskar. And another thing where it's like, well, that could have been a conflict that could have been interesting and gone somewhere. But no, he just went back to the bar and kept drinking, which, I mean, that's a good bar. I like that plan.
It also was weird that, like, and I mean, not that I wanted this, but because Boba Fett was so much a Mandalorian show, it was weird we didn't like go back to any of that. Other than like the plot lines that happened for Mando in Boba Fett. Like
my theory, or like the reason, so Boba Fett was supposed to be Mandalorian season 3, which, and the pandemic fucked it all up. I wrote a huge article about it. Because like the actors were given scripts that said like Mandalorian season 3, and it wasn't until the show was announced that they even knew they'd made Boba Fett. But my theory is that like that Mando episode of Boba Fett was the season 3 premiere. Those last 3 episodes were probably the first 3 episodes of this season initially. And then we would go to the taking of Mandalore, and then probably you would then see Din be like, hey, Boba, we're retaking Mandalore, pay me back the favor I paid you. And then he would be in the final part of this season, but that didn't happen, which whatever, you know.
I really wish they had stuck to Din and Grogu like being like separated for a while. You know, like let us feel the weight of that. So when Grogu does come back, it feels like exciting and like, oh, we've missed this, but it just they gave it. It's like they don't want us ever to be sad or mad, so they're just giving us everything they think we want, and it feels awful.
I mean, the 2 episodes they were apart were 2 episodes of Boba Fett that Boba Fett wasn't in.
Well, I gotta see Boba Fett go see the mayor 7 times. How many times did Boba Fett go to the mayor? That's all he was doing, was going to see the mayor.
Well, but was it Dave Pasquale? Like, that was a good character.
And Brett, didn't you say that Ming-Na Wen even said she was in Mandalorian season 3?
Yeah, like I think she showed her script. She was like, they were all like, we all thought we were making the Mandalorian season 3, and it wasn't until that post-credit scene of season 2 when they flashed the Boba Fett title card that they were all like, oh, I guess we made Boba Fett. Because when I realized, like, when you look at like the timelines and stuff of how it all went down, Boba Fett was a show that was on a planet that already existed, so with props they'd already built, with like sets they didn't have to design, and a very small cast, because that show was like Boba Fett and 2 Tusken Raiders and Ming-Na Wen for like 3 episodes. You know, like, so it was like it felt very, this is what we think we can do under COVID protocols that we're still testing out. Which, derailed everything, man. That's the worst thing COVID did.
Yeah, the biggest crime.
Brett, I tell everyone, I'm like, well, Brett White said, and I like, because I think that's such a, like, I feel like you're right. I feel like there's no way that's not correct.
Because I mean, it seems just wild to think that they were going to make. Although I don't know, now I completely question Jon Favreau's taste, and I'm like, maybe Boba Fett was the show that he set out to make. I don't know.
I've questioned his taste since Chef. So Sofia Vergara and Scarlett Johansson are in love with Jon Favreau. This defies credulity.
Well, don't forget Courtney Cox originally.
Oh God,
way back in the day. Friends, baby.
He was on Friends?
Yes, that was his big break. I think he got Swingers from Friends. Or had he already done Swingers?
I never watched Friends. Swingers was what I first, him and what's his face from.
Yeah, he was Monica's rich boyfriend that she did not fall in love with him until she realized he was rich. But then he wanted to be a
Classic
mixed martial
friends.
arts. He wanted to be a mixed martial artist, and she was like, "I can't handle you getting beat up all the time." So, anyway, friends.
Hammy, what did you feel about Moff Gideon popping up at the end there?
Yeah, not great, I'll tell you. I could have taken a little bit more time away from him for sure. It just felt rushed. It felt shoehorned in for no reason. I mean, that's my critique with the whole thing. I'm quiet because I don't have much to say other than it was boring, it didn't make sense, and everything just felt shoehorned. So, like, that will essentially be the answer to most of the questions you ask is, you know, I like him. Like, I like the actor. I like when we were first introduced to him, I thought this could, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then, well, he didn't need to come back. He just came back and was like, I'm cloning myself. Oh, you got rid of all my clones. Anyway, I'm going to crush the Darksaber that we both want so badly.
Well, and he had there was no menace to him. Like, that's the thing. Like, season 2, his hunt for Grogu, and then when he finally gets him, like, that was such a mindfuck. Like, it was like one of the more stressful parts of Star Wars for this essentially live action Saturday morning cartoon. And there was just none of that in this at all. He just comes back out of nowhere, takes a meeting, puts on some armor, is like really, really into the armor. really loved his makeover.
He's a Beskar queen.
Yeah.
Well, and then they were like, we're gonna go get the Mandalorian. He was like, no, I'll take care of it myself, but also I will bring my incredible Red Guards to actually do it for me because I don't want to. And I was like, why did you tell them you'd do it yourself? And then you're like, nah, this ain't it. I hate this man.
So yeah, I guess I don't know.
Positives. Anything?
I liked the Enzelans. Like, like Babu Frick was the best part of Rise of Skywalker, and so you know what? I'm an easy date. Put some no baby no squeezy. I'm fine with that. I like that, and I also loved Carl Weathers like translating for Din. Like, they were saying stuff that was apparent, and then he was like, "They just said XYZ," and he's like, "I know." Like, that was cheap, easy joke, fun.
But that's
and I really liked the design of Gorian Shard, the plant pirate, even though ultimately completely pointless and diversion and didn't amount to anything.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Because he looked like fucking Swamp Thing, and then he was gone.
Oh, I got Pizza the Hut vibes from him.
Ah, yes, that's more
Love
correct.
Pizza the Hut.
Love it.
Veggie Pizza the
Hut. Mark, what did you like about this season?
I like anytime there's a spaceship flying around, blowing stuff up. I liked Bo-Katan's spaceship. Like, this is how I'm easy. Like, oh, a spaceship? All right. But that's probably all I remember. So I like that it was brisk. Most of the episodes were brisk. This last episode was 38 minutes. Great. You don't have to pay attention. This is the first time I've watched a Star Wars show. Like, let me look at my phone for a little bit while this is on. I really don't have to watch every frame of this like I normally feel I do. Mm-hmm. So I like that it felt low stakes.
I do sometimes like a low stakes. Yeah, that's fair. Colin?
I liked seeing all the battle droids again. They were fun.
Oh, I forgot we did see those again. Yeah.
And
there is so much about this season we've not talked about.
You completely forget. Oh, yeah.
I know. I was like, wait, what? There were battle droids in this season?
I'm a sucker for, space battles and stuff. And I did enjoy the final battle, anticlimactic though it may have been. But I really liked seeing the armor flying around, beating everyone with her hammer and that type of thing. That's fun.
What season is it? Boba Fett, or is it season 2 that we like? Because isn't there a season when all the Mandalorians come in to save them?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like episode 3 of season 1.
No, right.
Right. Like when they come to save specifically Din Djarin. I don't know if there's.
It's like I'm picturing a sand planet, and they all fly in to help save him.
Yeah, it's like because the Grief Karga's turned on him, and all the bounty hunters are shooting at him, and using the trash thing. Also Zeb Aurelios was in this season.
Who?
From Star Wars Rebels.
Who?
That happened.
Was that
big setup for Ahsoka? Probably.
Which character was that?
It's a purple lizard man that was in the bar that talked to
him.
Kim's Convenience guy. Yeah. He's a major character.
Oh, he was the one everyone was like tweeting about, right? I feel like I saw people being like, "Oh my god, that character was in Mandalorian." It was him, right?
He's one of the Star Wars Rebels crew, which now means that we've seen everyone in live action except for Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character.
Wait, did we see Sarah Michelle Gellar's character already?
No, but is she dead? I don't know. She's seventh sister? She's one of the Inquisitorius, which would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
To get Sarah Michelle Gellar in there with some black armor and a red lightsaber. Ugh.
And that's something I feel like she would do. Because right? Like,
yeah.
You don't think Wolfpack season 2 is going to impact that?
Fucking Christ. Yeah, I would really like to see the both of them. And I feel like Freddie Prinze Jr. would also do it. But isn't the character like younger?
Well, there is there's an Inquisitor in the Ahsoka trailer that looks like a female Inquisitor. So, who knows? Let's start that rumor. Let's get our hopes up.
She'll be like one of two people they don't bring back.
Yeah.
Because most of the famous ones they've brought back, right? Like most of the famous voice actors that did characters.
Well, yeah, because Lars Mikkelsen voiced Thrawn, and now he is playing Thrawn. Katie Sackhoff is now playing Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
They recast Sabine, which sucks. So I liked from The Good Place. Can't remember what her name is. Tia Sircar.
Wait, what is she in? Have we seen her already, that character?
No, she's going to be in Ahsoka. So we've seen her in the trailer.
Okay, I only know who that character is because my straight best friend / roommate would watch that cartoon, and that was like one of his favorite characters was her. And I think I bought him like the figure of her for Christmas one year. She is cool looking.
She's a graffiti artist Mandalorian who isn't religious. I love.
Ooh, we like that. So I guess I'm trying to think of Hammy. What are other things we didn't touch upon? I mean, you mentioned.
Oh God, I don't know. Well, I was thinking about good stuff and like. I love that the Jar Jar guy got his like moment.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I will say that made me a little emotional. I wouldn't have known that was him unless Twitter had told me before watching the episode, but I did like, I don't know. I love Grogu so much. And I know it's like, yeah, it's fucking cute, whatever. But like, I just love that little gremlin baby so much. He reminds me of like my childhood pug. I'm like, let me put my childhood pug in an IG-88 outfit so he can walk around.
Oh, hell yeah. No.
And like, seeing Grogu, like, I don't know, he's so precious, and seeing him like deal with this like awful trauma. Well, like, that did make me a little emotional. Like, I was like, oh, fuck. And like, I felt bad for him. He's like the only, I mean, I guess I don't know Star Wars that well. Is it supposed to be he's the only one that survived? Or I guess when the plot calls for it, someone else has survived?
Oh, a ton of people survived Order 66. Oh,
okay.
Freddie Prinze Jr. survived Order 66.
Oh, all right.
Say, at the time originally, no one survived. And then they were like, except all these people that we need.
Fair.
Because having Jedi are fun sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sparingly.
But yeah, I did like that. And I felt bad when that Jedi that saved him died. Is that Jedi? I read that he was in like a video game or like a game show.
Wait. So yeah, Ahmed Best, I did not know this, but yeah, Ahmed Best played that character on a YouTube Star Wars. This is Legends of the Hidden Temple, but with Star Wars is what it is.
So weird.
And it was in 2020, and it was like 20 episodes, and he hosted it as Keller and Beck. So.
And like, that's where that character comes from, right? Nowhere else. It's so weird. I like he deserves justice, right? This poor guy had to play fucking Jar Jar Binks, like one of the most hated characters. So like,
well, when are they going to give Jake Lloyd a job then? He got, he also got it pretty bad.
That's true.
When are they going to give George Lucas a job? He got it worse than everybody.
God.
Phantom Menace is better than Obi-Wan. The show. I'd watch. I will rewatch Phantom Menace. I will not rewatch Obi-Wan. I'll put in those two.
I liked Obi-Wan, and I don't understand why people don't like it, but we don't have to get into that. Thought it was very enjoyable.
My thing with anything, I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of like, how, I mean, I feel like the internet does this, where it's like something that's bad, and then it comes back around, and people are like, "Oh, you all slept on this," and it's like, "No, I slept on it."
Reclaiming it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of that. Apologies in advance, Brett, if you already disagree with me. I've been seeing a lot of that with Solo, and that is maybe the thing I hated the most.
No.
I loved Solo. I still like Solo.
I have, it's my issue with prequels when we already know where they, like, we know Han Solo isn't in danger because we know he has to survive. So, like, that's my issue with prequels when they're about a specific character whose history we mostly know. But
I also have that issue with the Oppenheimer trailer because they keep saying, like, what if you blow up the world? And like, gee, I wonder if the world blows up. You know, I gotta watch.
You know, I have not even watched a trailer for that because
I've seen it a million times. It looks like the most boring movie ever made.
Team Barbie, obviously.
Obviously.
Oh, well, yeah, duh.
But like, I mean, Solo was fun to me. Like, it was a stupid, fun Star Wars romp. The dialogue wasn't horrible to me. Like, that's the thing, is like, I keep thinking, Star Wars isn't known for having the best dialogue.
Sure.
But goddamn, Mandalorian season 3 was just really, I got this. Good job, kid. Like,
the whole thing just felt like thinned. It just felt like thin, underwritten,
that one exchange between Bo-Katan where she's like, I should have killed you when I had the chance, and then Moff Gideon's like, we've got to stop meeting like this. I'm gonna make sure of that. Enough with the pleasantries. And it's like, they did that. Like, they wrote that. And then they said it on stage, and everyone was like, yeah, we're gonna do this. This is we've definitely never heard this dialogue before.
Yeah,
God damn.
I'm like, I want to love the show because I think those first 2 seasons were like fucking fantastic. And like, not to quote my conservative father, but unfortunately I keep going back to like what he told me why he loved Mandalorian, because at first I don't think I started it till like half of season 1 had already aired, and my dad was like, oh no, I think you'll really like it. And he kept saying the reason he liked it so much is because it didn't have too many characters. It was very standalone. It was like just the story of him and Baby Yoda. And like, I think that is what I loved about it. And now that's not the story. Now it's like, we're in a cult religion. Ha ha. Look, we're now doing, and it's like, this is boring now. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hammy, what do you
Let
think?
me tell you something. It felt like they gave Pedro Pascal his paycheck, so they're like dollars per word. They were like, we need the value. We've given him his $200,000. We got to make him work for it, kind of thing. Because, man, season 1, that guy, it was like a John Wick movie. He said 12 words that whole season. And now this time it was almost like he was giving exposition. Like, he'd be like, we're going to go walk down this hallway. We're going to turn left. You got it? Keep up with me, kid. We're about to turn right. And I was like, you don't have to talk. The robot's going to follow. Like, it felt like everything. No, so what I love about The Mandalorian is I had to watch it because so much would happen. And this includes like the acting with the helmet on, which I think in season 1 is phenomenal. There's a couple good moments in season 3, but you have to watch it because stuff happens without words. Season 3, you could be on your phone the entire time and you won't miss a moment of the show because they're narrating the whole thing. They're like, Bo-Katan, you have to fly over there and get him. And she's like, all right, I'm going to go fly over there and get him. And I'm like, just fly over there and get him. You don't have to say the words. Anyway, now I'm riled up. I was too dumb to understand the religion stuff, so this is where I get riled up.
Yeah, I wonder where like season 4 will go.
God, I realized like season 4 would be fucking awesome if it went back to, because the season ends with the 2 of them on like their ranch on Navarro. We're back to just the 2 of them, and I'm like, man, give me a season where it is 8 episodes of standalone him and Grogu hunting down Imperial remnants, jailing them, getting their money, and you give it to like Rian Johnson does one, Taika Waititi does one, Bryce Dallas Howard does one.
Ooh, yeah.
And just let them do whatever they want. Like, make it like Star Wars Visions, the animated show where they gave the animated studios free reign. Like, but no, Jon Favreau's already written all 8 episodes. So
wait, really?
Yes, and he like a year ago, like he was like, I have them all written, and it's like, man, someone tweeted something about like it feels like it was written by like a guy on vacation. This is how the kids are playing in sandcastles. I'm just writing my Star Wars. Woo! Like it feels so half-assed.
Yeah, I don't see how we as an audience are meant to care when I don't feel like the people who made this care all that much either. So why should I care more than they do?
I think like Dave Filoni had all the care and he took it with him when he went to
and he
Ahsoka,
also all his stuff feels like, oh, it's like a different point of view, a different angle on it's not the same Star Wars stories over and over.
He has a very he walks the fine line of being very reverent but also very objective at the same time about what works about Star Wars and what doesn't, which is very fascinating. And somehow the fandom loves him, which I thank God. Because Jesus Christ, the last person who was both objective and reverent, they called like Public Enemy #1 for no fucking reason. Anyway, give Rian Johnson a whole season of Mandalorian.
That's right.
I
want Poker Face in the Mandalorian universe.
Poker Space.
Poker Space.
I wonder if I couldn't believe Rian Johnson. I saw that he tweeted like, oh, I would love to write something. I feel like I would be like, I fucking hate these Star Wars assholes.
Yeah.
Never again if I were Rian Johnson.
No, I think he knows that he did a good job.
Yeah.
He seems like the nicest man in all of Hollywood. And the fact that they've descended upon him as like the Antichrist is just wild.
I mean,
because he just seems so harmless.
And like, that's a good Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's great.
And like wait, so fun fact, Colin, remember our Rise of Skywalker episode?
Yes.
Poor Colin was the only one that was like, I mean, I kind of liked it. And the rest of us were just screaming over him saying how bad it was.
I had a good time in the theater. Was my point. It wasn't.
I've left every movie happy or like emotional in a positive way. I have not watched Rise of Skywalker. I've seen it once.
Same.
That's it. I don't feel the need to go back.
I don't need to actually see how terrible it was because I enjoyed myself in the theater.
I do wonder about Rise. Like, I do wonder if, like, in 10 years or 20, maybe it needs more, but like, freed from the burden of expectation, will we look at it as just like, oh, this is their Xanadu, this is their camp boondoggle, this is their like clusterfuck, but we could just appreciate it on a camp level. Like, it doesn't have to be a good entry in the Skywalker saga anymore. It could just be a goofy, dumb movie that's shiny.
We have the problem of like, we lived through 2 years of expectation.
Yeah.
Where like in 10 years, if you just watch that trilogy from, watch 7 through 9, just watch it in a row, you'll be like, oh, it got kind of weird there at the end, but yeah, sure, that all hangs together. Like how we watch the original trilogy and we get to Jedi and it's like, yes, this all made sense.
Yeah. Who would love an Ewok?
So I mean, maybe without the burden of expectation, it'll be fine. I don't know.
I'm not saying it's good. I just think we might appreciate it for the pure camp of it.
Listen, I still love Return of the Jedi, Brad.
I love Return of the Jedi a ton. It's great. It's my third favorite of the movies.
Oh, all right, fair. I mean, I could see kind of the way the prequels have come back. I mean, I never hated them, but I just never liked them, if that makes sense. Like, I felt, okay, whatever, these look bad. Like, I felt mostly like they look bad is the, like, strongest feeling I felt. And I do think they get better as they go. Like, Phantom Menace is the worst of them, and then they, like, get better. Not, like, great, but they just get better.
At least you could tell they were made by a human being. For better, warts and all. Like, yeah, there's stuff that's really clunky and bad, but I do get the sense this was made by someone who had something to say, which feels so crazy in the Disney landscape of it all. Like, that never happens anymore. It feels like it's made by a focus group.
Well, I don't know what Jon Favreau is as a creator.
Well, and the thing is that the Dr. Pershing episode did feel like it had something to say of like, look, both sides are terrible, but then it didn't go anywhere with that.
Well, and also, like, the whole droid episode was, isn't it crazy how we enslave droids, but we also programmed them to kind of have personalities and free will?
Yeah.
Does that equal a soul? No, just turn the off button. Like, there's, again, skirt any type of interesting conversation.
Yeah, and, like, I was even thinking that with IG-88, because, like, Grogu clearly loves that robot, right? Like, he has fond memories of him, but they reanimated his corpse to give it as a thing.
Shoved him inside of
a new
it.
toy for Christmas.
Yeah.
Star Wars loves putting people inside carcasses. It's their thing.
Yeah.
True.
Keeps happening. Luke loved that Tauntaun.
Loved it.
Jesus Christ. I guess that is a thing they do. And like, I actually will, Brett, your pitch for season 4, I will love that. Like, for me, I'm like, yes, get back to that. Just them. They live on this cute little ranch. He's like a single gay dad raising his gremlin baby. Like, I will love it. The planet
it
looks...
ends
Go
with
ahead.
the promise of he's going back to his bounty hunting ways and,
Right.
hunting down Imperials, but it's going to be, this is how we're going to hunt down Imperials, but in the background, this is how the First Order came to be.
Yeah, I mean, all of this is also, building towards Dave Filoni's movie that was just announced. So, got to do all that stuff.
Do we know what that's even going to be about or anything?
Well, no, like it's the culmination of this time of Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew, like all those casts all coming together. So
Finally.
yeah. Finally, I've wanted to see Jude Law acting opposite the guys in the Mando suit.
I will say I consistently forget the timeline of Mandalorian.
Same.
Like,
yeah.
I'm always like, oh, right, this is after the first trilogy.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, wait, this is before New Hope, right? Oh, wait, no, not at all.
Yeah. No, what's wild is when you think about it, it's like Bo-Katan is literally 30 years older in this than she was at the end of Clone Wars, where she was, I think, a full-grown adult.
That's what that headband is doing. She's like pulling her face back. I think.
Like RuPaul has one of those.
Yeah. That's why it's powered headband.
Wait, is she really like 30 years older? Because that woman is not.
Yeah, because she's in the Clone Wars.
20 years. Yeah, she's on 20 years passed between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and then this is 9 years after A New Hope.
God.
So maybe she's in her 20s in the Clone Wars time?
Yeah, so I mean, Katie Sackhoff is playing older. And same thing as with Rosario Dawson, like all these Rebels people, and it's like we're not talking about how like they should have got like Helen Mirren to play.
Yeah,
at least with Ahsoka, it's like, all right, she's an alien.
Alien. Who knows?
Sure, fine. She doesn't age. Sure, I don't care. But
maybe the same with Mandalorians. I don't know.
I guess, yeah. I would. I genuinely would love to read like a oral history of season 3 and how Pedro Pascal was only there for 10 minutes one day. Like, I
think he was recording in his like trailer up in wherever Canada. Probably.
But they could do crazy stuff with AI. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just a Pedro Pascal bot that you program in the dialogue, because there's no like emotion in the line readings this season anyways. It might as well.
That's what they did with Luke Skywalker in Book of Boba Fett. So,
which is insane. Like, he never filmed anything, right? For Book of Boba Fett?
For that. He was on set for the season 2 finale.
Right.
And not to talk about Star Trek, but I'm going to talk about Star Trek for a second. They are liberally recasting Spocks left and right with different actors. And it's so much more like freeing. You don't have to think about like, oh, how are they making that digital Mark Hamill mask? You know what I mean? You're just like watching an actor do a performance, and it's so much easier, more satisfying as an audience member.
I have been meaning to catch up on the current Star Trek universe because I did love it as a kid. I just haven't. I heard good things about the Picard finale.
After I'm done recording this, I'm watching the finale.
Oh, nice. I haven't watched any of Picard, but only because I didn't have whatever the fuck it started.
Paramount Plus.
CBS? No, what it started on.
Oh, yeah, All Access.
Well, CBS All Access, which is now Paramount Plus.
So I didn't have that, but then my brother got Paramount Plus, so now I have Paramount Plus.
You could jump right to season 3. You don't need to bother with the first 2.
I was going to ask that because I've heard that the first 2 weren't that great.
Little wonky.
Yeah. But anyway.
They're fun. Yeah, and I get a lot of 7 of 9, which is great.
True. We're never mad at that.
I didn't mind the like sparse use of the AI CGI. Like, Rogue One, I know a lot of people hated that Princess Leia. I loved it. It was 2 seconds. I don't give a shit if it's 2 seconds. And it does literally end a second before the first one. So so like for me that works. Or like even Luke coming in at the very end of, was it season 1? Season 2.
Season 2. Yeah.
I didn't
The
mind
series
that.
finale, as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't mind that
Mandalorian.
even though it was like longer, but like, okay, we're just getting to a point, but then we're using him and it's like, what the fuck are we doing with like Boba Fett? He was like in it a lot and I don't know. That's when it bothers me. If it's like a quick whatever, sure. Do the AI CGI bullshit. But when it's like they're making it an actual character, I'm like, this is
Right. Because
weird.
part of your brain knows it's not real. Like, that's not Mark Hamill there.
Like in Rogue One, the thing that like a lot of people talk about the Leia thing, that didn't bother me at all. The thing that bothered me most was Grand Moff Tarkin because he looked like a weird mannequin.
Yeah.
Hammy, what do you think about the weird CGI shit?
Well, in season 1, which I prefer to season 3, no, I don't have a particular for or against. It definitely looks wonky, but like all CGI kind of looks fucking wonky at this point. And we're just going to get more of it. So I don't know. I'm going to take it and go with it. I'm just more upset that he never took his helmet off and Pedro Pascal was never there. And the whole AI of his voice thing, when you guys were talking about it, really kind of freaked me out because I was like, what? Maybe it is. There's no reason for it not to be. Katie already said that she's given up her voice to Disney.
Isn't that crazy?
And
Oh, right, she did.
Yeah, she basically was like, yeah, I'll sell my voice. I don't care. And I was like, oh, shit, this is just going to be the future.
I mean, yeah, it is.
Well, like, yeah, that's a larger question because I'm just like, we're people, man.
We are people.
Oh, whatever. Why do we hate ourselves?
Humans like humanity.
Well, and like you said, Mark, I do think not only is that easier to like just like have an actual actor, but it's better and easier. It feels like, then you don't have to worry about like, I don't know. And like you said, we're humans. I know that actor's dead, so it's fine that they've recast him. I'm not going to be mad that they didn't reanimate a corpse. Like, okay, we'll get older, whatever, sure.
It was the same problem I had. This isn't CGI, but like it's kind of reminds me of like when I saw The Whale, which I don't recommend. But like half the time I'm watching The Whale, I'm thinking like, wow, that's a really amazing fat suit. Like I'm not thinking of the performance or what this character is thinking. I'm just thinking, wow, that's an amazing piece of technology, which I don't think is good. Yeah,
that's the art, really.
Yeah.
The story of the human condition.
Brett, I'm curious, where do you think the Dr. Pershing plot is going to go? Do we think he's going to pop back up?
No. I don't.
Because I thought he was like explicitly dead. Like I thought she killed him when she turned that up.
And it seems like his brain's just fried and he's probably like amnesiac. And honestly, you know what? I would love to forget. If I had his life, please erase all of it.
Put me in that machine.
Just let me fucking like work at an antique store on Coruscant with hot Eric Selvig. No, what's his name? Stellan Skarsgård. Oh God, Luthen, work me, Danny. Whatever.
I did appreciate that we got a gay villain. I was like, oh, good for her. She's a gay villain.
Yeah. What a year she's having with Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania, and now.
Oh yeah, Hammy, did you know that? Because you really liked her, didn't you, in Quantumania?
Whatever her name, Jerica?
No, I haven't even seen Quantumania.
Oh.
I literally listened to your guys' podcast review and was like, no, that movie's not going to be for me. I'll wait.
All right, so, Brett, what was your favorite part of this season?
It was either him hugging not Babu Frick or just hitting the no, yes, no. Yeah, that's those are my favorite parts of this season.
Colin?
I'm going to say the scene where he saves, where Grogu saves Din from being captured. And then they go fight whatever and do their thing.
Hammy?
I liked the really weird droid that he tried to fight with the Darksaber where he like couldn't really use the Darksaber at all. Like it was almost too heavy for him to use. And I just thought the droid was really cool. That's like the scene that stands out for me in the whole season, sadly.
I don't even remember that, honestly.
There you go.
Mark?
I liked the glowing popsicles on Coruscant, and I can't wait to try those at Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They look great.
I like that.
I forgot about that.
And Tim Meadows. Remember Tim Meadows was on this for a hot second?
And Doc from Back to the Future.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
Christopher Lloyd was in
He
this.
looks so frail. I was like, oh, I hope somebody's like watching him. When he's-
I'm glad you just said that, Mark, because I was like, oh, does that mean if I say, oh, wait, Mark's saying it anyway. Because he looked like, I don't even think that was him standing up, right? Like he was sitting most of the time. And when he stood up, I had to rewind it because I was like, the fuck was that? Because it felt like they did like a weird,
looked like a marionette for a second or something.
yeah, whatever. But yeah, the casting this season was very weird with all the like Lizzo, Jack Black, Tim Meadows, Christopher Lloyd, and like there were other people too. But I think my favorite part was it was definitely Grogu in the IG-88 because that's charming, right? That's what he's already a fucking dad. Why do we need to say that at the end? We already knew that. This is a cute parenting moment where like Grogu's allowed to be a little bit of a terror, but he's not being like, he's just being like a weird kid because he is a weird kid.
Yeah. Remember when he kept eating that frog lady's embryos?
Yeah.
He is definitely like murdering
children.
Just eating them. Love it. Love it. Oh.
What grade do we give this season, Mark?
C-.
All right. That's not. I thought you were going to give it an F. So
I've seen worse Star Wars.
Fair. Hammy.
A D.
All right, Colin.
I'll go D+ for Disney Plus.
Oh, Brandy,
Clever girl. Brett.
Oh God. I mean, as an overachiever in high school, I will give this like a C-, but know that is probably other people's Fs.
I think I give C- as well. Well, thank you all for joining me
for this cheery conversation.
Brett, thank you for taking the lead on this. I knew you'd have more to say than I'm like, not good, and you have more.
And I hope that this is the last I have to talk about it. We're done. We're moving on. Delete.
Thank you all for listening. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can support us on Patreon, where you can get access to all of our bonus episodes, like me and Brett talking Book of Boba Fett. And you can access our Zoom Patreon calls. And if you want to find us on social, we are at SlayerFestX98. If you want to follow me, I am at Ian X Carlos. Brett, where can everyone find you?
Can find me on Twitter and Instagram. But hey, am I me on Twitter? Who knows? I'm not verified anymore. Let the doppelgangers reign. At Brett White. You can also follow my fledgling drag career at Barb Hardley on Instagram and YouTube, where I have a new drag web series, Stop Dragging Your Heels. So
yes,
have fun.
And Hammy, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Hammy73 or michael.ham.cosplay if you want to follow my cosplay work. And yeah, that's it for me.
Colin, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Brett White.
Oh
no! I'm there and Instagram at csmith03.
And Mark?
You can Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Mark Rennie. I'll push my Letterboxd account.
I signed up for it once when I was super stoned, did like 10 lists, and then never opened it again.
Fair enough.
All right, well, everyone. Well, we will see you next time. Bye.
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 Bye.